hope is that we all get it. Don't give in to the pain, just keep living, cause
got dreams I'm striving for. So I'm gonna live higher. I'm gonna live higher. I got dreams I'm striving.
What's going on, guys? I'm super excited today because I have George Betty out of the Philadelphia area. He has a really unique story, and I'm glad that he was able to take the time out today to kind of share his story, and which we're going to talk about in a little bit. So I want to thank George for taking the time out to do this interview today.
Sweet.
So let's go ahead and get started. For the people who don't really know your story, kind of tell us how you got started and what made you want to get into real estate, and talk about how you got started and what made you want to get into real estate.
So you want the Reader's Digest version of my life, kind of, I think is what you. All right, cool. So I wrote a book about my life, and it's an Amazon bestseller. So I'm an Amazon bestselling author, which is weird. It's called Hustling from Heroin to Houses. So when I was 22, 29 now, I was waking up in a holding cell wondering why I couldn't stop doing heroin, and hoping that something was going to change for me someday. And I ended up getting sober. I got into sales. I had a little bit of a criminal background, and I didn't really go to college. So I'm living in a halfway house. I'm selling windows. I ended up moving out of the halfway house, and I had a really good job selling windows. And I met a guy at a diner with friends, and was just like, "Hey man, what do you do for a living?" Like a normal conversation like me and you would have, or like you'd have with somebody at a party. And he said, "I wholesale real estate." I was like, "What the fuck is that, dude? Can I swear?"
Yeah, you can swear.
Great. I'm like, "Yeah, dude, what the fuck is that?" And he said, he's like, you put a house under contract for less than it's worth, and you sell it to somebody for a markup. It was like, he was describing to me some of the numbers. I was like, "So how do you get someone to sell you their house for 30% of what it's worth?" Because that's what you got to do when you're wholesaling, to sell it for like 50% of what it's worth, right? And, he told me, and I was like, I think I would be really good at that. And fast forward a few years, and, I am. And that turned out to be true, right? So like, now I'm not the guy that goes into sellers' houses anymore. Like I have several sales reps that do that, are better than me at it and make good money doing it. But yeah, so just to kind of give you that's the sort of the shorter condensed version. So I've been in real estate since 2015. Like I ran my first lead October 23rd of 2014. I've really been in real estate since 2015, sort of. That's kind of how I think of it. I quit my job. I made $60,000 wholesaling in 3 months, and I quit my job. I was making about $100,000 a year at the time, which was great. I wanted more money. And so last year we did 100 transactions in the greater Philadelphia area, Philadelphia, Montgomery County, Delaware County, Bucks County. We did a little over $2 million in revenue. So, our average sale price is about $20,000. We've been on a pretty severe uptick since May of last year. So, we should do closer to 3 million this year, maybe a little more. Maybe a little less. There's some changes in the market coming, and we're starting to transition to buying rentals, which is much more involved and has a lot of different pieces. Like real estate has 3 factors to it, or 3 pieces. One is deal acquisition, sourcing, right, getting good deals. The other is construction. Last one is access to capital and cost of capital, right? So where are you getting your money? How much does your money cost? What interest are you paying? Things like that. I'm really fucking good at the acquiring deals side and the deal sourcing side. So what my whole business is based on, and we're really good at that. I think whether we're the largest in this area or not, I think we're the largest. We're definitely the best. And we're definitely one of the best that's in the country.
Let me interject here. So you did 100 deals last year. Was that strictly all wholesale, or did you do flicks and flips? Or
no, they were all wholesale deals.
Also, okay.
Yeah.
And let's back up a little bit as well. You said you did 2 million in revenue last year. So how do you go from 6 figures all the way to 2 million? What did you have to do what did you have to have in place in order to scale to that type of revenue?
Okay, so you want to talk about scaling? Yeah. So, dude, it's not rocket science. You like, oh, I did this. Can I duplicate this without me having to be involved? Okay. How much would it cost for me to hire someone to do that? Now, how much would it cost to have someone do that really well? can I still make money and leverage my time doing that? You just keep doing it over and over.
Okay.
But in terms of like, how do you actually do it on the ground? You have to organize what you're doing. You have to organize your training, how you're hiring people, how you're picking who you're hiring, which is really important. And it's very important that you have a standard set in place for what that position is, what their job duties are, and things like that. Like, you can cowboy it and be relatively successful, and you can especially be relatively successful in an up market like we're still experiencing now. There's a lot of tailwind.
Right.
So like, you can be not that good, disorganized, maybe kind of an idiot, maybe kind of just like, maybe you're just not 100%. You can still do pretty well in this market environment, right? So like, when the market starts turning, and it is starting to turn, like all those guys that aren't organized, some of them you've interviewed, they're all going to get washed out of the market more than likely, because what they're leaning on is not their own expertise, training, and systems or people. They're leaning on like, oh, the market's good right now. Even if we fuck everything up, it's going to be fine. So in order to scale, you have to have systems, you have to know what they are, and they have to be duplicatable. I think businesses are a function of people and systems. So you can have good people, or you can have good systems, or you can have both. We want to have both.
Okay. So what does your team look like today? How many people you have working for your company at the moment?
We have 2 full-time appointment setters. We're hiring for more now. We have 2 interns that moonlight in appointment setting and some other stuff. We have 3 outside sales reps, a transaction coordinator, 2 dispositions agents. One of the dispositions agents helps our transaction side and our dispositions, but is mostly focused on dispositions. Who else? That's everybody that's local, I think. And then we've got a bunch of people. We have a couple programmers, a bunch of VAs in India, a recruiter in Wisconsin or something. I might be missing 1 or 2, but that's it.
Gotcha.
I think that's about right. Yeah.
So from a marketing standpoint, how much are you spending on marketing, and what marketing channel is working for you at the moment right now?
We'll spend $30,000 to $50,000 a month on marketing, sometimes a little more, depending on January and February are traditionally very dead months in real estate. So like, we'll never ever stop marketing in any facet, but like, we sent 60,000. It might have been 70,000 pieces in February, and we sent 60 or 70,000 pieces in January, which is a lot of mail, like for most organizations. We've sent as many as 100,000. So we started really heavily investing back into Facebook ads a couple of weeks ago, which we had turned off basically starting from Christmas till, not off, but like pretty substantially decreased starting from December to recently. So we'll spend 10, maybe 15 grand on Facebook a month. Well, really, it's between 8 and 15. Sometimes it dips a little low. Those campaigns are managed automatically by a bunch of Facebook rules. So like, if we've spent $100 on this, it turns off automatically. And once it gets to this amount, this turns on automatically. So it fluctuates, but it keeps it like, it lets me keep track of what I'm spending better.
Okay.
What's working really well, direct mail, pay-per-click. We've been really successful with Facebook ads. Not a lot of people have, it seems like. I think we've been pretty successful with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
bread and butter is pretty much direct mail. You do so much direct mail. That's pretty much.
We spend more money on direct mail than anything else. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you have to have. Are those calls going straight to a live person, or they're going straight to voicemail, or how does that work?
Yeah. So so if one of my appointment setters in-house does not pick that phone, we use smartphone for Podio. It came out 6 months ago. So if we don't pick that phone call up within, it's either 10 or 15 seconds. It might be like 5 seconds. I don't, the programmer does that. It goes to a call center. Call center takes it, makes sure they're talked to, puts the notes into our system. We're pretty good at getting the phone when they come in, but sometimes they're already on the phone with somebody. One of them is at lunch. There's a lot of that. We need to make sure that all of our inbound calls are serviced, period, whether we can set an appointment right there with them or not.
Gotcha. Now, you said you're one of the top wholesalers in Philadelphia market. So what sets you apart from everybody else as far as like, what are you doing differently, or what do you say makes you better than everybody else? How do you stand out from the competition, quote unquote?
I mean, data numerically wise, we do more transactions at a higher average fee, more frequently and more efficiently than everybody else does. So, I mean, like strictly looking at the data, our average sale price of $20,000 per transaction, which is up substantially recently. Most guys are at like 5 or 8 grand or something like that, right? So that's one way. Most of the guys that are near the volume that we do, they do between 700 and maybe $1 million. So, you know, we're like double that. They'll do 40 to 60 deals. We're nearly double that. So, I mean, yeah. But like, I don't really approach this as like a real estate hustle. I'm not trying to do everything myself. You know, I approach this as a buildable, scalable company, right? So like, but like by and large, the biggest asset I have is not the fancy letter I send. It's not like our customized bespoke data system that we built, which we did build. It's the people, right? So like, the people that I'm blessed to work with, like my team, are fucking amazing. They care more, they pay attention more, they work more, right? Like we all have a ship here, right? Like I'm not one of those guys that's like, hey, look at me, I want all the money, I'm George Beatty, fucking give me. That's not really me. So like, you know, I have a large team, and like not everybody makes $500,000 a year, don't get me wrong, but you know, I really strongly believe that if I take care of my people and they're good people, they'll just fucking rock and roll. And so far that's been the case. So yeah, I mean, like our systems are really good. I think our training is really good. Our technology solutions are excellent. The amount that we market is like much more than other companies do. But without the people, none of that stuff means anything. But the most important thing you can do as a business owner is sourcing, recruiting, and hiring good people. So like I'll interview 2 or 3 people today. Well, wait. Okay, I'm interviewing 1 person today. But I want to, most days of the week, I'm interviewing between 1 and 3 people for a job, whether we're hiring or not.
Okay. So at the current business you're at now, is there anything you would have done differently had you, knowing what you know now, is there anything you would have done differently knowing what you know now when you first got started?
I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe honestly, dude, like maybe I would have blown a little bit less money on clothes and like socked it away, but you know, maybe I would have brought a rental a little sooner, but like, I'm really proud, happy, and inspired by the journey that I've been on. You know what I mean? Right. I probably would have split from my old partner earlier.
Okay.
And started preparing for that earlier. Yeah, maybe that, or actually, no, I don't think I would have done that. I would have communicated more. Yeah. So a general theme of my life is, if I have any regrets whatsoever, it's just that I would have communicated more and better. So, you know, communication's key. Yeah.
Gotcha. So if you don't mind sharing your company goals for 2019, I think you mentioned at the top of the interview, what's your company goals for 2019?
We want to buy 30 or 40 rentals and have them all rented out and shit, and we want to be at scale on construction and on the financing side to be able to purchase 3 to 5 houses a month and keep up with, like, we can keep up with that on the acquisition side all day, but on the capital and construction side, that's an unknown. So we want to be able to do that, maintain the volume that we're doing in wholesaling, 2 or 3 million. Honestly, because of the transition into buying rentals, I don't really know how that's going to affect our revenue, but like I had to cut a big fucking check for taxes. So like I'm less worried about revenue and more concerned about like actual like value accumulation, let's say, not necessarily wealth accumulation, but like, you know, so for instance, if you buy a house for 30 grand, you put 20,000 into it and you refinance it for 80, that $30,000 that you made, but just round numbers, that $30,000 that you made refinancing it does not count as company revenue. It just doesn't. It's from a loan, but you don't have to pay taxes on the proceeds of a loan. So if you have a tenant in place paying that debt down, that $30,000 that you made from refinancing that still technically is profit or revenue or whatever. Like, it's money you made, right? You bought the equity and you got it out, but it doesn't go onto your balance sheet as company revenue. It goes onto George Beatty's wealth statement or whatever the hell it is. So, don't miss the forest through the trees is what I would recommend as far as that goes. But yeah, we want more better leads. We want to do more volume. We want to do more deals in general. Yeah.
So I'm interested, since I know in Philadelphia there's a lot of like new development, new constructions.
Mm-hmm.
Why haven't you really got into that type of like new construction? Do you consider that a distraction? Because I know new construction is a lot more. You have to wait on it. You have to wait for the permits and things like that.
Awesome. I think it's an ego thing and a distraction for probably 60 to 70% of the people that do it. And I think that flipping houses is a distraction and an ego thing for 60 to 70% of the people that do it.
Right.
So like, for instance, if like a lot of my wholesaler buddies or whatever, they'll do like 3 wholesale deals and make a bunch of money. And they're like, fuck, I'm going to go flip a house. Well, flipping a house is a lot more risk. It's a lot more time. There's a lot more involvement. It's a lot more time out of your day. Like, I can do 10 wholesale deals in the amount of time it takes you to flip one house. And I don't have to borrow any money. I don't have to worry about permits. I don't have to worry about someone stealing my copper. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Rentals, as I mentioned, is a little bit different of a play. It's a long-term play. There's a tax benefit to it. There's a lot of stuff on the back end. But like, I know a guy that like had a deal in Grad Hospital, which he got under contract for a great number. And I was like, dude, just fucking wholesale that. You can make $200,000 on a wholesale deal, maybe 150. Fucking just do that. They're like, no. So they financed it. They paid themselves like $100,000 on it. They fixed it up. Now it's sitting on the market. It's going to sell for 150,000 less than they thought it was going to. And now they're trying to sell it. So like, that friend of mine is like a really good wholesaler. Look at all that distraction. Look at all that bullshit that now they have to pay attention to. So like, I'm not saying that doing development or new construction is a bad idea. I'm saying that if you're going to do something like that, take a really good hard look at the reasons why you're doing that and make sure that it's a good plan considering everything that you've got going on, right? So if you make $100 a minute, or let's say you make $100 a second and there's a $20 bill lying on the street, do you pick up the $20 bill?
Right.
Right. But also like concentration is what gets you rich. Diversification keeps you rich. So if you're still in the getting rich phase and you're trying to diversify, doing some new construction, doing some of this, it seems like quick, easy money, and it's fucking not. I would not do that. Make sure you have your shit together before you go and do that. That's an opinion.
Yeah, it's like you want a slow dime or a fast nickel. I'll take the fast nickel all day, every day. And just like you said, it's just a distraction because it's a lot more risk. You have to come out of pocket and you have to wait. You just have to wait for it, and you hope to get what you think you're going to get for it.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind everyone's situation is different. So like, Streamline was doing 300 of those a year or something at one point. Like that any answer or advice I give you is not going to work for everybody, but it may work for a substantial number of people. So like, for instance, the don't do development thing until you've got your shit together, I think is a very reasonable instruction for many people. Like if you're doing a multifamily play and you're going to build 6 or 7 units and it's like a great deal, or you're partnering with somebody that has a lot of experience doing that, maybe it's a different story. But like, pace yourself. For most people, pacing yourself is the difference between running and trying to do it in 1 month versus 6 months. The difference between 1 and 6 months isn't tremendous, but it can make all the difference in the world to whether or not you get like fucking wrecked on a deal. Right. So, yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk about, because I know I've heard you, I think in an interview, talk about you went to some high-level events. I want to talk about what that's done for you personally and also for your business. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I've been to a lot of events, and I very rarely leave them with anything substantial, and I very commonly get a tip, a little bit of a different way of thinking, some type of advanced technique maybe, which is valuable to me because I can put them in play and they can be lucrative, things like that. But if you're getting, like, the way to do it is to do it. If you're just getting started, like, I would save your money, frankly, and look all that shit up on YouTube or do what you're doing. What you're doing is really smart. Like I'm doing this for free, right? And I, like, if you asked me to have coffee with you, like I would have just said no, but now you know what I mean? So
Right. No, I understand.
yeah. Yeah. So, you know, I went to Joe Evangelisti's events. Joe's a really good guy. I was in his mastermind for a year too. So like from Joe, I learned a lot about like duplicating, you know, systems, like basically writing things down and visualizing them somewhere other than just inside of my head. Cause it's all in my head, right? I need to give this to my teammates. I need to give this to other people, but you know, so that was like really tremendously helpful for me. Like I run a relatively large business for this industry. Like from other industries, this is fucking nothing. Like I'm a nobody, but for wholesaling real estate, like this is a larger operation. So some, you know, even though those events can be 5, 10, 20, $30,000, like they're very effective because we'll get some tech tips or things like that. But there is no magic bullet. There is no magical, like, oh, I got this one tip and now I'm rich thing. Like that doesn't exist. And if you think that there is, you should fucking get out of the way, and go join some network marketing event or fucking go to another personal growth seminar, whatever. But like the way to do it is to do it. You can get a lot of this information for free if you're broke, which is fine. But like the advice I would offer you if you're looking for how to get started or whatever is like, go knock on some doors. Get a list of vacant properties, go knock on the doors of the people that own them. That's it. Start asking questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. As we kind of wind down here, last couple of questions. So what does your typical day look like? I know you said you're not so much involved in the business as far as like going out to appointments and things like that. So run me to a typical day that you go through.
Well, I'll tell you what my calendar looks like. So I just moved yesterday. So all of this from Philly to the suburbs. So like all this stuff is changing because now I have a commute. So today I woke up at 7. I got to the gym in Philly at 8:15 or 8:20. I worked out. I literally just got to the office. I'm doing this podcast. I'm meeting a friend for coffee at 11:30. I was supposed to settle on a property at 1, but that got pushed till Monday. I'm interviewing somebody at 3. And between the coffee and the interview, I'm going to be putting together our mailing list for next month. Our data system has been growing and is like really fucking good now. So I'm redoing a lot of our stuff, which I'm really excited about. And then intermittently, I'll be meeting with team members and staff. I like to keep like 50% of my day just open for whatever pops up. I think it's smart for somebody in my position to do that. Like, you know, like this is my office, right? It's like people can see me in here. People will come and ask me stuff all day. So if I have like a strict every 5 minutes is booked type of day, then it'll fucking get wrecked.
Right. Okay. So give me your top 5 books in no particular order. It could be any genre, business, life, whatever.
Okay. Pleased But Not Satisfied by David Sokol, which is out of print. It's 100 pages. I would recommend it. Principles by Ray Dalio. Top 5 books. You might be surprised to hear this, but I don't really read a lot anymore. I listen to a lot of podcasts and do executive summaries. Never Split the Difference was good. Fierce Conversations I didn't find to be particularly entertaining, but I apply a lot of lessons from that. How many is that? 4?
4, yeah.
Yeah, and my book, Hustling from Heroin to Houses.
Yeah, let's talk about that. But I actually started reading that. What made you want to write that book? Was it something you felt that you needed to share your story to the world?
Yeah, basically that. I mean, I've always wanted to write one. You know, I've had a weird life. I mean, my life is not as crazy as many people's and is crazier than some other people's. You know what I mean? But like, you know, not a lot of people go from being a heroin addict and like a stone cold junkie, drinking every day, getting high every day, going to North Philly, like not having anywhere to go in their life and just fucking being a total piece of shit, to getting clean, let alone like building a business, like having a real life and things like that. So like part of it is just like, hey, if I can do this, you can do this. You know, the other part of it is like, man, I just wanted to fucking talk a little bit, you know, get that story out there. It's like a really free, amazing experience. Like I've always wanted to write a book, and I just kind of like did it. Yeah.
So let's go back to that story. So what was the moment that made you want to stop doing heroin, stop, you know, being...
Well, I didn't want to stop. That's heroin. The problem with heroin is that it's great.
Was there a moment, was there like a turning point somewhere in your life that just...
I got arrested a bunch of times, dude. Like I tried to rob a pharmacy, like the cops showed up at like my grandma's house, and yeah, I was just like, is this the drugs? Like, I got to do something about this. Like, I'm going to end up going to jail. I'm going to end up fucking dying. Like, I had, like, my life has got to change. And I went to rehab, and, that was it for me.
That's awesome. I think that's, yeah, I think it's an inspiring story. I just started reading the book, and I'll have the link below in the description here. One last question here. So what's a question you've always wanted to answer yet have never been asked?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Let me think. I'm going to switch that up a little bit and say, what advice do I think I should be asked for, but never?
Okay, I like that.
What advice would I give somebody that I'm never asked for that I think that they should get? Yeah. The question is, how come I feel like I can't do this, or I need more information? And my answer to that question is, because you feel like you're not good enough. You are good enough. You are smart enough. You are strong enough. You can do this if you try. And even if you fall and you fail, you can get back up and get better. Failure is the real key to victory. The more that you fail, the more opportunities you have to learn from and to get better. Embrace that and fucking go for it, because you can do it.
Man, that's awesome. I fucking love that. I like the way you kind of phrased it, but it turned out to be a really good answer. So.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Where can people connect with you?
Please don't.
No, I mean like social media, like where people can.
I'm on Facebook, George Beatty. It's a headshot, probably.
You're not really big on social media. You used to be, but
I was. Yeah, I've been off. Yeah, so I found myself just consumed with what was going on social media, and it's like, this is actually turning into a waste of my time. I was gonna do the guru thing. I was fucking like hedging up. I have a course. I need a course. I'm not selling. It's not for sale. But like, I was gonna do a mastermind, a course, and like all that stuff. And then I just like woke up one day. I was like, I don't want to do this right now. And so I was like, what am I fucking doing? I'm just getting in fights with people over like social justice issues. Like, I gotta. I'm on Instagram. I'm slowly posting pictures of me eating cheeseburgers and like dipping my toe back in the water. But yeah, I have a YouTube channel with some old like video blog posts, which is just me cursing for like an hour, I think. I have a website, georgebeatty.com. I think there's a contact me form. I don't think it goes anywhere, but I think there is one. But yeah, just hit me up on Facebook, inbox me, and if I'm in a good mood, I'll answer you, and whatever. If I'm not in a good mood, just inbox me again. So.
All right, guys. I'll have the links below, and you guys can go ahead and check that out. This was a great interview. Thank you so much again, George.
Thank you, Toby. Woo! Have a great rest of your